Now you'll see the dough's quite wet, and that's not a problem. It'll start out very wet, but what it'll do is as you work it, it'll firm up, and your fingers will stop sticking to it so much, and that's what you want to do. So you always want quite a wet dough. Helps you mix it and helps you incorporate air through it. Now, a little handy tip is to use a scraper. I use a little plastic one like this guy here, got from Bunnings. I got a set of 4 of them, I think it was, for about $2, and they're just ones that plasterers use. Food grade plastic, nice and easy, nice and cheap. But you can see here I've got quite a wet sort of mix, and you just got to work it on a tabletop such as this and sort of incorporate it in together. I just do that by folding it back on itself with my fingers and slowly massaging it like this. Basically knead, fold, knead, fold. And you can see already it's starting to come back together. Now you're going to have to do this for about 10 minutes or so, and when you get it going, and you'll know it's actually finished because it'll stop sticking to your hands, but it'll still be nice and soft. So this is generally, once I get it to a point where it starts sticking together, I throw it down on the bench like that and fold it back on itself. And when you can throw it down, fold it round and it lets go of your fingers, you know it's ready. It should feel nice and smooth, and you can use your little scraper at any time to tidy things back up. And now you can see when I'm folding it, it doesn't really stick to my fingers anymore. It's nice and smooth, nice and thick, and it's definitely nowhere near as wet as it was before, and that's kind of the consistency that you want. So when I roll it, it just comes straight off my hands. So that's where I need it to be, and at this point in time I'm going to throw it into a container. I find this is a mess-free way of letting it rise. So at this stage, what you can do is you can actually add any ingredients that you want to add to the bread. So if you want to add some seeds, which I'm going to do now, put some seeds down. Put the old bread in, mix them around a bit. Mix it on through. Do it in the container because this way the seeds don't really go everywhere. Just fold it on through the bread until it's incorporated. You can add fruit, you can add anything really. It's quite simple at this stage. And you see how it all started out so wet and now it's nice and firm. And really that's a function of getting your measurements right. That's why at the start I said it's very important that you actually weigh things and you know how much you're putting in. So I'm just going to let that sit now. You can let it sit in the bowl that you mixed it in originally. You can do whatever you like, just as long as you have either that moist towel over the top or you put a cover on this so that it doesn't dry out. And you're just going to, there we go. Now that the bread's all risen, as we can see, all we do is we have a clean work surface again. And remember, this is for 2 loaves of bread. And just tip it out. And hopefully, it just slowly drops away. Now, it should separate from the bowl quite easily. As you can see, it's slowly coming. Just got to give it some time. And that's my bread. Now, at this point in time, you really don't want to knock the air out of that. That air there is going to give you a really nice structure to your bread. So you want to keep that. So I've put that down onto a non-floured surface, and then I start to flour the top. And you'll see why I do this in a second. Now, because I'm making 2 loaves of bread, I'm actually going to cut this up and separate it off. This is where the scraper comes into its own, because I can actually get underneath that and just move that out of the way, and we'll just work with this one piece of bread at the moment. So the reason I've left that unfloured is because it grabs to the bottom quite well, and I can shape it now using that. So I'll just shape it into a bit more of a round sort of profile, and I'll do the same with this guy. So go ahead, I'll shape him into a bit more of a round profile. Now, at this point, what I'll actually do is I'll let these sit for about another 20 minutes, and in that time they'll grow a little bit, they'll just sort of flatten out a little bit more, and then from there I'll actually turn them into some bread, and I'll shape them up properly, and we'll let them sit, rise, and then we'll cook them. Okay, the bread's been resting now, and as you can see it's grown a little bit. So what I'll do is just shuffle this guy out of the way, grab this guy down here. Now, what we're going to want to do is basically fold the bread onto itself a few times to build tension in the bread. Now, because I've floured the top, I just flip it over so we're sitting on the floured surface and this is the unfloured surface. I want to grab that guy, stretch him out, fold him into the middle, turn it around, stretch him out, fold him into the middle. And because I haven't floured this side, we're hoping that this bread should come back around and actually grab on itself. So you can see there I've done a number of folding operations, brought everything sort of down into the middle there, and I can grab this guy again and just sort of grab little edges, tuck them over, grab little edges, tuck them over, grab little edges, tuck them over, grab another edge, tuck it over, another edge, tuck it over. And now I've got like a little neat parcel. Just grab him around, fold him on down, and I've got a ball. So what you do at this point is it kind of sticks a little bit to the table, and you want to sort of tighten up that outside skin of the bread. So what you do is you basically just spin it around on itself with all the folds sitting on the bottom. Now just spin it around, spin it around, spin it around. You can feel that it's getting tighter and tighter, and you can see by the height that it sits off the deck that it's actually quite taut. Around, around, around. Now what I do at this point is I usually get some baking paper. Tear a little square of baking paper off, and this is what I'm going to actually bake this little guy on. So I'll put him on here and I'll let him do his final rise, and then when I go to put it in the oven I don't have to disturb it when I get it off here. I can just slide this onto an oven tray and bake it off. So there's one bit of bread ready, and I'll do the same thing with this guy so you get an idea again how to do it. So flip him over, grab him, fold it up, spin around, grab him, fold it up, spin around, grab him, fold him up, spin around, grab him, fold him up. Now I've got all my folded bits there. Just grab him, tuck him over, 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 grab him, tuck him over. Just like that, folding everything into the middle. And then finally rolling it around. And you don't want to be too tough on it because it's all full of air at the moment. And I don't want to take that air out of there. So spin him around again. Sort of tucking everything underneath and spin it around. So it's nice and tight. And you can sort of move it around a little bit if it helps. So you can see it's a really tight ball there. And inside that is all those folds and all that air. Grab another guy, put that down, and just pick him up and lift him onto there. And there's my second loaf of bread ready to go. Now, what I'll do, again, just throw him down like that. Dust him with just a tiny little bit of flour. And I'll sit my moist towel back down on top of these guys. I just keep them apart so that they don't grow together. Just do that. Throw that down on top of you. So as you can see, the bread's risen nicely, and now it's time just to put it into the oven. So what I'll do is I'll actually give it a little sprinkling of flour. Just helps with the decoration, really. Gives it a nice looking crust, bit of contrast. And you need a sharp knife. Now with the sharp knife, what you want to do is you want to put some scores into this, so that it expands in it allows it to expand in the oven. Otherwise the bread might crack or it'll stunt its growth. So as you can see, put some nice deep cuts into it. You can cut it however you like. Choose your pattern. There we go. And they're ready to go into the oven. Now, after you put the bread into the oven, get some water in there. So you can throw a cup in there full of water, or into a little container or something, or spray some water in as I've done with a little water spray bottle, 99 cents from Woolworths. Works a charm, but you just got to keep that oven moist for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the bread baking, and that allows the bread to expand. And if you don't do that, then the bread again might be a little bit stunted.